An aide to Donald Trump's Secretary of Commerce just indicated on Fox News that Donald Trump's goals are very simple: to establish an external revenue service and to, quote, abolish the internal revenue service. This comes just hours before the IRS is scheduled to begin 6,000 layoffs. Now, obviously, that's a fraction of the 80,000 new IRS agents that were hired in previous years under the Biden administration, but it is a potential sign of a beginning of the unwinding of, at least at the moment, probationary workers at the IRS and potentially in the longer term, more workers at the Internal Revenue Service. This also comes as Donald Trump just this morning posted on Truth Social that he expects to work towards balancing the budget, giving it a shot. He says, balance the budget now, let's give it a shot. Lots of money coming in from tariffs. And this comes at the same time that a lot on Wall Street are disputing that we're actually going to make anywhere near as much money from tariffs as what it would take to offset the Internal Revenue Service. In fact, if you jump on over to what Bank of America just had to say within the last 24 hours, take a look at this piece. We stick to the baseline of tariffs being used as a negotiation tool, that tariffs are largely being viewed as a negotiation tool in bilateral negotiations, and that they're likely to be a lot lower than previously anticipated. Like instead of that 60% that Donald Trump was talking about on the campaign trail against China, that we'd end up seeing something closer to the 10 to 20% level. That ultimately we might actually see some tariffs come through, because in order for you to have credible threats on tariffs, at some point you have to implement something. Now, of course, we've heard that around April 1st and around April 2nd, we might start seeing some tariffs on chips, autos, reciprocal tariffs, non-monetary tariffs, basically trying to tariff items that are VAT taxed, value-added taxed in Europe, to essentially try to counterbalance or create more fairness in the realm of international trade. Though Bank of America goes on to say here that there is risk in doing this, and you have to be calculated here, because tariffs, as they say, will likely not fix our spending problem in America. Of course, this is where DOGE is working to try to solve that, and there are disputes in terms of how much money DOGE is actually saving, whether they've saved $16 billion or $55 billion to date. Hey, it's a start. That's obviously why Donald Trump and Elon Musk have suggested the potential of a 20% DOGE dividend from the savings that are created. But Bank of America makes it clear, like, tariffs alone won't fix the problem if we're still spending too much. So we've got to work to offset some of that extra spending. We'll see, though, because the current plans that are in front of the House of Representatives for tax cuts would generate $4.5 trillion in tax cuts, raise the debt ceiling by $4 trillion, but only cut spending by $2 to $2.5 trillion. So the math doesn't math yet in terms of how we're going to get enough to remove the IRS. But what a lot of folks are looking at is, hey, are we on the trajectory of potentially eliminating the IRS and not having to pay taxes? Hey, even lower taxes would be a start. I feel like all Americans agree with that one. But it is interesting, because you are seeing, as you can see on screen now, you're seeing Lutnick on Jesse Waters Primetime says that the goal is for DOGE to cut $1 trillion, and then we're going to get rid of all these tax scams that hammer against America, and we're going to raise $1 trillion of revenue. Now, these sound like enthusiastic claims, and hopefully they can happen. However, there are also downside risks that come along with this, specifically on the tariff side. So this morning, we actually had a piece come out from one particular institution on Wall Street called Schroders, which is interesting because I always think about like Schroders' cat, like, is it alive, is it dead? Anyway, I know that's Schrodinger's, but hey, close enough. Take a look at this. So during the first 100 days of the Trump presidency, we've had a lot of noise. So far, the economy is poised to still grow at 2.5% in 2025 and 2.8% in 2026. I know a lot of people were worried about the Walmart earnings. I went through a lot of the Walmart earnings call, and it didn't actually sound like the Walmart earnings were that terrible. Walmart said they saw storm clouds, but that those lifted and they never came. They see a consistent consumer. They see lower promotions for 2026. And they just say that one of the reasons their guidance is lower is because they acquired a TV designer, Vizio. Vizio doesn't even manufacture their own. They use contract manufacturers. But they're not seeing a change in the consumer, but they are seeing some losses from that acquisition. and some timing around Easter. So I know a lot of folks are pointing at Walmart as like, oh, that's it, retail's falling over. A better report would be looking at the retail sales report, which was bad, for January. That was a pretty rough retail sales report. It was pretty negative, but who knows? 1 month doesn't make a trend. But look at this. Excuse me, I'm a little under the weather. Anyway, the U.S. is still set to lead the way. Consumer spending has continued to exceed expectations. And the labor market, solid growth so far. Fed is set up to remain on pause. I went through the entire Fed minutes, by the way, yesterday. The only thing that was really worth taking out of it was, well, obviously, this is the baseline, is that they really didn't give us any forward guidance. But one thing to take away from it is that they're considering the potential relaxation of the Fed runoff of the balance sheet. So remember, they're selling a bunch of bonds into the market, which puts pressure down on the treasuries market. Goldman Sachs thinks they're going to start talking in March about tapering their runoff. And then potentially starting the runoff in, a slowdown of the runoff in May or June, basically selling fewer bonds to the market, which could be supportive to the bond market and TLT going up. Who knows? Maybe that's hopium. Nobody knows. Not personalized financial advice. But anyway, Schroeder over here, Schrodinger, I know they're not Schrodinger, but anyway, they remain pessimistic about China. They say leading activities don't look that good. But I really wanted to talk about this Trump scenario. They say in our aggressive Trump scenario, mind you, Bank of America doesn't think Trump is going to be super aggressive with tariffs. But to get rid of the Internal Revenue Service, you would have to be super aggressive with tariffs because you're going to have to raise a lot more money. Like incremental tariffs are not going to cut it. They're not going to replace everybody's income taxes. So take a look at this. On the aggressive Trump scenario, it's not me writing it, it's them, right? High trade tariffs and large deportations together would be stagflationary for the United States economy and probably tip the rest of the world into recession. Meanwhile, we are concerned that rising U.S. Treasury yields could expose fiscal frailties, in other much weaker sovereigns such as the United Kingdom. But there are also upside risks such as AI spending or continued declines in oil prices and potentially more consumer spending. So there are upside risks, but obviously, if we're trying to go for a full, 100% external revenue service and 0% internal revenue service, we would probably have to be in this aggressive Trump scenario, which at least Schroeder's suggests could be stagflationary or recessionary either for the United States. Even the Federal Reserve is concerned a little bit about the uncertainty of what kind of Trump are we going to get. For example, Fed Bostic spoke this morning and said that policy could either boost growth or it could hurt growth. There are, quote, pretty significant uncertainties. Goolsbee from the Fed spoke this morning and said that the more tariffs look like a COVID-style shock, the more nervous you should be. And I think that's why the market is selling down a little bit today. In fact, in my course member live stream this morning, we were live while we saw Tesla bounce at this line. So we went for call options on Tesla. Obviously not personalized financial advice, but I sent a trade alert on the call option right around here on Tesla. Not a massive move yet so far, but you can see that solid bounce off of the line here. And so we've been watching these closely. Remember, you get lifetime access to these course member live streams and alerts if you're part of the courses over at meetkevin.com. Palantir took a little bit more of a hit. I made a full detailed video on Palantir on the channel. Make sure you watch that. Just type in into YouTube, Meet Kevin Palantir, and you'll see it. And you'll get my full thesis there. Quick spoiler, I think the sell-off on Palantir is overblown if you're just worried about the DOD and, sort of government potential spending on Palantir. I actually think the government's likely to spend more money on Palantir, not less. But, watch the video because there's some other issues as well at play. Momentum, valuation, blah, blah, blah. All right, so what else do we have? Apple announcing the iPhone 16e. To me, this is actually a sign of deflation. Yes, there are missing features. It doesn't have MagSafe, which is totally lame. Like, I love MagSafe. No wide lens, telelens. Honestly, those suck at low light anyway. I don't really like them. The 1 nit of brightness on the screen. If you have an old phone, you're not going to know the difference. It lacks Wi-Fi 7 and 6E. Nobody gives a flying hoot because people's routers at home probably don't have Wi-Fi 7 or 6E anyway, unless you're a tech bro. So Wi-Fi like 5G or Wi-Fi 5 is good enough over the 2.4 upgrade. Excuse me. So to me, you're getting 98% of the phone for the average user, not the pro user. Pro user's gonna be like, man, I want those features. I want those features, right? But I think 98% of people don't care. You're getting 98% of the phone for 25% feature. To me, that's a sign of deflation. That is good. That is a good kind of deflation, right? Some people see it also as an upgrade catalyst for Tesla or for Apple, which is great. Speaking of Tesla, there's a potential rumor that there could be some kind of announcement between Apple and Tesla today. Don't know what that is yet, so we'll stay tuned for that. Also talk about potentially Tesla shipping Teslas to India, despite the Indian tariffs on cars over there. So some people are excited about potential growth for Tesla there. So we'll keep an eye on that. As far as the iPhone, though, overall, I actually think it's a good deal. You know, and it's also the first time Apple is using their in-house modem. So a little bit of a slap in the face there to Qualcomm regarding the cellular modem, the data modem, right? Speaking of Q things, the quantum chip announced yesterday by Microsoft, it's another research piece. It's a research announcement that, I mean, these devices are nowhere near stable yet to do anything functional. We've got 8 qubits of stability. We're going to need hundreds of qubits of stability to actually do anything functional. And so I can't help myself but feel like this was really just a marketing push by Microsoft. One of the reasons I think that is because the moment Microsoft announced it, you started seeing people like iJustine post these marketing videos of, you know, how they got access to this chip and how they were able to walk through the facility and how great it is, all this quantum technology. And it's not just her. There were other, you know, podcasters that were posting on about this product as well. To me, it just smells a little bit more like let's have a social media marketing push than actually do something super functional. And I think it's a way of them trying to say that, look, we're just trying to catch up with Google. Yes, we know it's just a research project. It's not a threat to cryptography. The Willow chip that Google announced had 105 qubits. You need a lot more qubits to have error correction. Now, Microsoft is suggesting that, you know, they created a new phase of matter. I question this. I think, you know, just because you're moving between phases over time doesn't mean you've created a new phase, but whatever. So I don't want to sound negative on this, but the bottom line is you're still years to decades away from quantum computing. Jensen from NVIDIA thinks we're 15 to 30 years away from quantum computing. Microsoft says that this breakthrough that they found could actually get us down to years rather than decades. I hope so, because I think quantum computing would be great for humanity. But am I going to go run into quantum computing stocks now because of this? No. Mind you that most quantum computing stocks today use annealed quantum computing, which is kind of the more basic optimization solving quantum computing. And it's not really full-scale quantum computing. It's like the lowest bar of quantum computing you can get access to. And so be careful on those stocks, in my opinion, because I don't think that they're truly full quantum stocks. These new innovations from Google and Microsoft, these are gate-based models. These are hard quantum computing problems. And they will take many years to really fulfill. So don't get me wrong. I don't want to sound bearish on quantum computing. I just don't think today is the day to run into quantum computing stocks. Just my take. Again, not personalized advice. Then, of course, there's a lot more drama regarding Ukraine. Apparently now meetings between the United States and Zelensky getting canceled. Zelensky banning Truth Social in Ukraine. Elon, remember he posted in December of 2024, post a bit more positive, beautiful content on social. Well, now there's a lot of drama going on about the space station. You've got a commander from the International Space Station and astronauts calling out Elon Musk on Fox News, who says that astronauts were left in space for political reasons. He says, what a lie, and from someone who complains about lack of honesty from the mainstream media. So he's slamming Elon. Elon replies and says, you're fully retarded. SpaceX could have brought them back several months ago. I offered this directly to Biden, and they refused. Return was pushed back for political reasons. Idiot. Now, Andres replies and says, Elon, I've long admired you and what you've accomplished, especially at SpaceX and Tesla. You know as well as I do that Butch and Suni, those are the two astronauts, by the way, are returning with Crew 9, as has been planned. That's, you know, SpaceX, which has been planned since September. Even now, you're not sending up a rescue ship to bring them home. They are returning on the Dragon capsule that has been at the International Space Station since September. This is why they argue that the astronauts aren't actually stuck, that their return capsule is there. They've just chosen to extend their mission. So the return capsule has been there since September. Elon says, hey, they could have come back in September and they're being left for political reasons. NASA saying, no, thank you for the return ship. This is great, but we're just going to do some more projects while we're up there and then we'll fly back. I don't know. There's a bunch of drama going on about this. You gotta have to make up your own opinion on this. So anyway, that's my take on what's going on today. Thanks so much for watching. If you found it helpful, make sure to subscribe. See you in the next one. Goodbye and good luck to you.
Why not advertise these things that you told us here? I feel like nobody else knows about this.
We'll try a little advertising and see how it goes.
Congratulations, man. You have done so much. People love you. People look up to you.
Kevin Paffrath there, financial analyst and YouTuber. Meet Kevin. Always great to get your take.